Hello and welcome to a Path of Exile patch overview for patch 0.10.4. Today we'll be discussing a new skill, various balance changes, some changes to the UI, and some changes to the way loot drops. The new skill with patch 0.10.4 is Arctic Armor. It's an intelligence dexterity based skill that reduces physical and fire damage taken, but drains mana while in use. While moving, the mana drain is increased, although you will leave behind a trail of ice that will cause enemies to become chilled when they pass through it. Arctic Armor is available as a quest reward for Rangers and Shadows from Caged Brute, for Witches and Duelists from Intruders in Black, and for Templars from Lost in Love. Cyclone has had a number of changes to it to make it not only easier to use, but also to make it a little more powerful. Cyclone has had its minimum range greatly reduced. This will allow for players to choose the distance of travel much more precisely, as well as not requiring you to go a fixed distance away, making it so that you can use the ability without putting yourself into the middle of a pack of mobs that can potentially kill you. The damage done by Cyclone has also been increased from a 35% damage modifier to a 40% modifier. Some other slightly smaller balance changes include Shockwave Totem casting Shockwave faster. Purity Aura's plus 5% maximum resist threshold has been increased from level 22 to level 23. And Tempest Shield has had a 0.5 second cooldown added to it to prevent accidentally turning it off from casting it in rapid succession. Quest rewards that grant a passive skill point are being changed slightly. Now, rather than simply being granted a passive skill point outright, you'll receive a skill tome that, when used, grants a passive skill point. The passive skill point book is not tradable, so no trading it to other characters for free skill points. This change will make it easier for players to understand what is going on and what exactly they're getting as a quest reward. A small but potentially useful UI improvement has been implemented. While mousing over an item, you can now press Ctrl-C to copy the item as text to the clipboard, which you can then paste into other programs, Notepad, forum posts, etc. A fairly significant change has been made to the way loot is calculated and is dropped. Players multi-boxing has been a fairly controversial issue, since by doing so, players are able to get the loot equivalent of a full party on their own. Typically this is done by having 5-6 accounts running all at the same time. You step into a boss area, you step your little multi-box characters also into the boss area, and then you use your one big decked out character to kill the boss, and you get full loot credit to the other alternate players just sitting in the instance. The changes being implemented affect how loot is calculated both at the start and end of a boss fight. Players who are not in the same zone instance do not count towards loot. This means that, for example, while killing Brutus, anyone in the upper prison will count. However, anyone still behind in the lower prison, since it requires a loading screen to get between the two, the players in the lower prison will not count towards the loot from Brutus. Likewise, at the end of the Brutus fight, when Brutus dies, any players not within about a screen's distance of Brutus don't count towards loot. This also uses the lower of the two, so if Brutus is activated while 5 players of a party are in town, the loot will only count as 1 player's worth, even if all 5 or 6 players are in fighting Brutus when Brutus dies. This could have some fairly significant effects on the way loot ends up getting rolled. If you're a little too far away, you could potentially not count towards the boss at the end, as well as players who may pop back through a town portal to recharge flasks during a rather long boss fight. Some other changes included in patch 0.10.4 include 4 new unique items, 2 of which were designed by Diamond supporters, various art and audio improvements, 3 new microtransaction effects, including one for Arctic Armor, White Cyclone effect, and a Silver Wings effect for helmets. Thanks for watching the patch 0.10.4 patch overview. To see the full list of changes and fixes, be sure to check out the patch notes linked below in the description. As a teaser for patch 0.10.5, Grinding Gear Games has announced that rather than a new active skill next week, there are going to be 3 separate support gems, all of which specifically augment melee skills, and I quote, can be used to create some devastating character builds. Thanks for watching, feel free to comment, rate, and/or subscribe, and have a great day.